Hello, I'm Otis Corbett, and today I want to share a word about soul thirst as I comment on Psalm 63, verses 1 through 8. This passage reads, O God, you are my God. I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you, as in a dry and weary land where there is no water. So I have looked upon you in the sanctuary, beholding your power and glory. Because your steadfast love is better than life, my lips will praise you. So I will bless you as long as I live. I will lift up my hands and call on your name. My soul is satisfied as with a rich feast, and my mouth praises you with joyful lips when I think of you on my bed and meditate on you in the watches of the night. For you have been my help, and in the shadow of your wings I sing for joy. My soul clings to you, your right hand upholds me. So let's talk today about soul thirst. Have you ever been thirsty? Well, I'm sure you have, and I certainly know I've had that experience. In fact, some events and periods in my life are punctuated by the memory of an intense thirst. One of the first memories, in fact, is when I was a child and my father took my sister and me to the county fair. It was a lovely but very warm fall evening in the South, and all was well until we went into the adjoining baseball stadium for the free variety show that came with our fair tickets. On the way in, my dad bought us popcorn. And I think the vendor must have sprinkled a pound of salt on my box, because by the time the first act had finished, my mouth was burning from the salt. And all I wanted to do was drink something. Anything. I barely paid attention to what I was told later was a pretty good show, and all I could remember, really to this day, was my thirst. A few years later, my dad had begun growing a garden each spring. And when I say garden, I really mean a truck farm. Dad's garden had multiple acre-long rows of corn, peas, beans, potatoes, and melons, and turnips. I enjoyed the process of preparing the ground and planting during the springtime, but when it came time to pick the produce, it was a miserable experience for my tender young self. To avoid something he called rust, we could never pick beans and peas in the cool of the morning, so we had to wait until afternoon after the morning's dew had been boiled off by the noonday sun. Then in the heat of the day, we would go harvest the produce. Now, it probably wasn't as bad as I remember it, but I do remember the terrible thirst that I would experience in those hot, humid summer afternoons. I still don't know what that rust was that we were trying to avoid, so it must have worked, I guess. A third memory is from when we were missionaries to West Africa, where, except for December and January, that part of the world is either extremely hot and extremely dry, or it is extremely hot and extremely humid. Either way, we were regularly experiencing extreme thirst. I would drink water until my stomach felt like it was going to burst, and I could still feel thirst. My mouth gets dry, even now, just thinking about it. Now, on those occasions, and during others too many and too numerous to name, I found thirst to be an overwhelming sensation to the point of obsession. When a person is truly thirsty, nothing else will satisfy their craving for liquid. And when I think of the times when I was parched, my words fail me. I cannot describe the sense of desperation I have felt when overcome by extreme thirst. In Psalm 63, the psalmist described his desire for God as a thirst. He used the metaphor of physical thirst to illustrate how much he wanted to have God in his life and how much he needed God's help. Nothing else would satisfy him. He was driven to despair at the thought of not experiencing the living water. Nothing else would satisfy his craving. Nothing else would satisfy his soul. In reading Psalm 63, the question comes to me, what do we in the 21st century church Now, how do we in the 21st century church thirst for God? By observation, I'd have to admit, sadly, that we don't really thirst for God. We treat our relationship to God more like getting a cup of coffee at a drive-through window than we do a person dying of thirst in the desert. No wonder we're never satisfied. No wonder we always search for the next big thing. No wonder we look more and more like the world around us. Another memory of my childhood, which I often share, is of my mom. She would prepare a wonderful meal for our family with many delicious dishes, and as we would eat with gusto, she would just pick at her food. Sooner or later, she'd say, "I'm just not satisfied." Then she'd get up, go to the refrigerator, and get some sliced bologna. She'd pull off and toss away that red stringy rind stuff that was on there, and then she would dash hot sauce on it before folding that bologna into a slice of light bread. She'd sit back down and she'd enjoy that simple food, and a smile would spread across her face. See, for her, that was a feast. She enjoyed it, and it satisfied her when nothing else would. We need to get back to the place where, like the psalmist and my mom, we know what really satisfies us and then forsake all else to embrace it wholeheartedly. We should start with complying with Jesus' commandments, such as, "But seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." Are you thirsty yet? Am I thirsty yet? Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with another word that we can share together. Every blessing. I'm Dr. Otis Corbett.